Yeah, the topic is courting the far left. I take that to be essentially a political and strategic discussion about whether or not and how exactly we should or should not court the far left. And the way that I think of the far left, there's a lot of polls on this. Based on all the research that I was able to do, about 10% of people that vote for Democrats call themselves socialist, and about another 10% call themselves extremely liberal.
By the way, I just want to say that's a lot of people. All right. I'm pretty sure they're also going to be debating about like how large these populations of people are to the point where you're like actually influencing the margins of the vote. But I just want to say 10% of Democrats is a lot of people, okay? It just is. 10% of Democrats is definitely enough to swing one way or the other in terms of some states. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So if we were to think
Like if we were to think about what there's like what, let's just say 50 million people, right? 50 million people are voters who are Democrats, right? Or whatever. God, is it really 50 million? Fuck me, dude. The turnout can't be that low, right? How many people vote for Kamala Harris? So 145 million people voted in total. So around 60 million voted for Democrats, I would say. Yeah. I'm not talking about Chowder's Foodshops, I'm talking about Pisco. Pay attention to the insults he throws at Destiny and how he addressed the community. You know how they call us sicko fans? Sure, we'll see. But, yeah. Right. So in 2024, if it's 75 million, what's 10% of that? What's 10% of 75 million? $7.5 million. Okay, yeah, 7.5 million is enough to influence the vote, no doubt, absolutely. Even if you divide that up between all 50 states or something, like just a really rough estimate, okay? It's enough if it's hundreds of thousands of people or thousands of people, that's enough. Yeah, in some counties, that's enough to influence it. Yes.
Kamala got about 49% of the vote, that's to say that something like 10% of those people are either extremely liberal or socialist by their self-identification. And so I think that what that means to me is that we should take what those...
The more socialist you are, the less liberal you are, okay? You don't become more liberal when you move further and further to the left. You become more authoritarian. You don't become more pro-democracy as you move further and further to the left. You become more authoritarian, okay?
Those people say, those actually existing far left voters, seriously, that to the extent that they have demands, they should have a seat at the table. We should try to come up with some sort of coalition.
Remember, liberalism is all about democracy, okay? It's all about free markets, democracy, and capitalism, okay? The further you move from these core principles of liberalism, you're becoming less of a liberal, okay?
And platform that can balance the needs and desires of the far left and the very, very centrist in the party, recognizing that we're in a big tent. And then when it comes to anti-electoral leftists and anti-democratic leftists, which I'm sure we'll talk about on the show, I think that to the extent that those people have big platforms, Democrats should engage with those platforms. So if Pete Buttigieg wants to go on Hassan's stream and espouse the greatness of his campaign or the Democratic Party or something, I don't really have a big problem with that. But I don't think that people like that should be...
I feel like they're off the spectrum. Like if you're an anarchist, you're just cringe. Why there's no point in assigning a spectrum to it. I don't think you are. Right? I just don't think so.
Be part of the inner party or should be invited to the DNC. Somebody like Mamdani, if he becomes the mayor of New York, probably should get a speaking spot at the DNC, but probably not people like Hassan, because it's not clear to me that Hassan is quote unquote an ally of the Democratic Party. And what I'll say is one last thing. I'll say that, I think Destiny had said at some point, he had clarified that essentially people who use the label of socialist should be treated like Nazis. I take that to mean that they should be very harshly socially excluded from the broader movement of the Democratic Party or the broader left. But I think that would be extremely counterproductive because, again, these are just a big chunk of the people of the Democratic Party. I think I get accused of wanting to shrink the tent because I want a primary pro filibuster senators, right? On a not a ideological on ideological grounds, but I think to say that we should shun basically everyone that calls themselves a socialist in the Democratic Party, that's to say that we should shun essentially 10% of the base, which is, I don't know, I just think that's much more counterproductive than just trying to build a coalition with them.
Okay, thank you, and we will get into it as we go. I'm going to hand the mic next to Pisco. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it obviously depends on what you mean by court and what you mean by the far left. So obviously, like, I would be in support if by far left you mean people like Mamdani, people like AOC, these kinds of people who identify, Bernie Sanders as a socialist. I think that there are absolutely things that we can agree on with socialists, and we're a big tent enough coalition if what you mean by far left includes those people. But ultimately, this is a conversation I think about semantics. What is the far left? Who are the group of people who are like anti-liberal or anti-constitutional that you want to exclude? And to what extent do you want to exclude them? Does exclude mean invite them, don't invite them to create a party platform? Does exclude mean not interact with them in any respect? Even as Econoboy mentioned, to like use their platform either for a debate or to like promote the candidacy or to try to convince people. I don't know if I'll go that far. I certainly wouldn't want to incorporate any Marxist-Leninist ideas into the Democratic platform if that's what's being meant by courting the voters or courting the far left. So ultimately, it's a semantic argument, but we're not here for that. We're here because, in my opinion, there's been a
No, Connor is Destiny's limiter. You know how in these animes the power of some people is so strong that they have to have limiters put on them to make sure the fight is even, or to make sure that their power doesn't go out of control and kill other people? Yeah, this is what it is. Connor has to be there as Destiny's debate partner because he has to be the retard limiter, okay?
bad faith campaign to basically smear
Handicap? Yeah.
me and Econoboy and Josiah as having moved to the far left, as having put space in our coalition to really allow for anti-democratic, anti-constitutional ideas and to not push back on them.
I think Connor
and I think
could,
what you'll find that there are tensions right now.
You, physicist! That announcement post was directed at you! You! Okay, all right.
I think in the different coalitions, the different viewer bases, but they don't have to do with a big substantive disagreement. I encourage everyone who's watching, actually look during the course of this conversation, how much disagreement substantively is there going to be? If we're talking about like this semantic game about what a socialist is a socialist a Nazi? Steven is going to just fucking get crushed on that argument by Econobo in terms of what a normal person means by the term socialist and how those terms are used. If he can produce any evidence whatsoever that me, Econoboy, or anyone on Live and Learn did something wrong in like bringing on the vanguard, notice if he can bring up anything that shows that we are taking a kind of illiberal approach or trying to do some kind of bad faith, like a courting of the tanky vote. If he can point to any specifics, or really just going to have more fucking nitpicking on the sides while he encourages and frankly, I think smears us as tankies, anti-liberal, and anti-constitutional. So I'm here definitely to get clarity on terms and to notice actually what is the room of substantive disagreement here, or is all of this a fugazi to cover up spite and personal conflict between him and other streamers? And is there really evidence that we're moving to the tanky left or the illiberal left?
Okay, well, thank you for being here, and I'm sure we'll get into all of that. Let's give it first to Counterpoints.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so my issue with this whole thing is that there are socialists, which I
listen. We better make more money than Wick. Okay, all right. We better make more money than Wick during this stream. Okay, all right. That's my goal. I don't think we'll achieve it, but.
define, I think, in a good faith way for the decommodification of basic human need and workers owning the means of production. There are also communists who believe that the end result of our material analysis should be a moneyless, stateless, classless society. I think these people exist. I think they have clout. I think they have influence. And I would use specific examples in our sphere of influence, like Erin or Straight Raid, who says that she's a communist. I would use the examples like Hassan Piker, who I just watched earlier today, is effectively holding hands with Marxist-Leninists and saying that he is a Marxist-Leninist. He's just, playing softy with the Social Democrats and the Democratic Socialists. That way he can get clout and influence and then radicalize them down a funnel. So for me, what I'm trying to point out is that if you pretend that this person is normal and nice and fine and a part of the coalition, then you're going to lose the moderates, you're going to lose the center right, And for every leftist you gain, you probably lose 2 or 3 moderates. So, the vanguard, I have no idea what.
If you'll gain any leftists at all, okay? All these leftists, they tend to be more younger people who are not very humble. They're very egotistical. They're very sure of themselves. And if you tell them to go and vote, like, they will try to, like, the thing is that it's also kind of an age thing, isn't it? Because the older and older you are, like, people say you become more and more conservative, but that's not exactly true, is it? Right? You become more and more moderate, okay? That is the truth of the matter. I think people become more and more moderate as they grow old, whether from the right or from the left, okay? We see this repeatedly. Lauren Southern, Richard Spencer, even Nicholas Fuentes, yeah. And like even the far left people who like are far left, yeah, it's like even then they move towards the center, right?
Shaken, not stirred.
Wintermute fat.
True. Guys, don't forget Wintermute is fat. This person is cosplaying as a skinny twink, okay? Thank you guys so much. And also, thank you, Physis. Thank you, Yoge, okay? I appreciate that. I appreciate the 11 euros, okay? What is that, like $50? I appreciate that, dude. But define more money and define Wick. Okay, Wick, okay? This fucking ugly ugloid, okay? This absolute washed up, disgusting, putrid ugloid, okay? That is the definition of Wick, okay? Definition of more, all right? As much as you can, okay? But not required, all right? That's it. Thank you. All right. I just want to say, like, the younger you are, the more, like, you know how when you're young, you're, like, hot-headed? You're hot-headed and you don't want people to, like, realize that you changed your mind because it might make you seem weak. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Is it true Wick is fat? Yes or no? Maybe. Yes.
Their politics
yes.
are. I would frankly love to speak to them specifically about their politics. But if MLs are a part of the coalition, you're losing people. You're being
I'm not
politically ineffective. That's my argument.
Okay, thank you for being here. And last but certainly not least, Destiny, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that when I was making the rounds debating Nazis in 2016 to 2018, one of the most common things that I heard from kind of like the centrists that
beating Wick for the whole night will be hard. He got the Destiny raid. Dude, honestly, I feel bad for anyone who dates Wick as well, all right? Beating him off must be really hard considering how he must have erectile dysfunction, okay? I totally get you, all right? Oh, you mean beating in another sense? Oh, okay.
that basically gave more credence to all of the far right ideas was point to where I support this. Show me where I said that I'm racist. Show me where I said that I hate Jewish people, or I'm anti-Semitic, or I'm, trying to be a white supremacist. And there was always this like annoying fight that I would have to do where in order to start debating the Nazis, I'd have to chew through all of these epic centrists first who would say, well, I'm just a classical liberal. I'm Sargon of Akkad. I'm not actually a white supremacist. I just happen to give cover for all of these people. I don't think.
What do you think of Talibot? Retarded, but she's a huge me fan, okay? She's a big fan of the channel, so whatever, all right? Retarded, okay? I will not deny that she is retarded, okay? Dumb as rock. But she is a Foodshops fan, okay? She is accepted, all right? Even retards are welcome, all right?
Like a Boy or Pisco or Josiah or any of these other people, I don't think they're becoming tankies or anything like that. I just think there's a very annoying
I literally called her a retard, Rick!
Cover that's given to a lot of these people where there's like we can 100% discern and decipher every single intention that Donald Trump has. We have no problem calling him a fascist outright. But then when you have people that hate the Democrats, that shit on our candidates, that attack everybody on our side constantly, we're like, well, I don't know what they really think or how they really feel. Or when it comes to people like Hassan, like even earlier today in my subreddit, a Boy, when asked about supporting Hassan, will say things like, well, I don't think I necessarily agree with him on everything. He says, I don't have
Oh, Wintermeat just got banned from the server. GG.
a generally positive view of Hassan, and I think I would flatly agree with many of the criticisms levied at Hassan. That's just in my mind, even though it seems like there's some kind of separation there. That's just a wild statement to make from somebody who openly supports terrorist groups that kill civilians, or openly supports enemies of the United States, or openly supports the subversive propagandizing of our entire political party to hijack the entire movement to destroy if not the Democratic Party, maybe even all of the entire United States of America. So I'm sure we'll get into it. I don't think it behooves us to just say all of this is a semantic disagreement. I think it's actually really important to define what a leftist is, because I think that it's important for the people to know where everybody stands, and it's important to get rid of people that are intentionally trying to obscure their beliefs and come in under the guise of being a leftist without actually stating, what their position is, and then having this this dual role that they get to play where they can propagandize people around.
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
You earn my money, thanks for inswearing me, Christian.
Thank you so much for the $5, Jacob. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. $5 from Jacob. I think that's your first donation, right? Now, I try to look at chat. Okay, if I looked at your chat and I didn't answer your question, remind me again in the future, or I probably ignored it in the moment because I was in the middle of something. Okay, but yeah, thank you so much for the $5. There are 100 of you guys here right now and still rising. Okay, please like the stream. All right. 104 and rising. Like the stream. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Radicalize them without actually ever stating what it is they're trying to do.
Also, keep the donations up. All right, let's keep the train going. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Support your local streamer, okay? I'm like one of the few pro-Destiny streamers. It is a lonely space out here, okay?
Yeah, like, are you for the complete and total abolition of our democracy, or are you just somebody who wants the government to do more stuff?
And just to get clarity, so we know what we're talking about, Destiny, are you saying that Econoboy and Pisco are running cover for those leftists that you think are infecting the Democratic Party, or however you want to put it, right?
Yes. But I don't think it's like they're secretly tanky and so they want to provide cover for their tanky friends. I think it's more just like this. There's something that happens in the Democrat brain, and
it's the white moderates, right? It's literally the white moderates meme, where in essence the moderate is like way worse than the people who are the most extreme. Because how many people are the most extreme? A smaller population than the moderate, right? But however, the tolerant moderate will always accept them, right? And that makes it bad.
I regret this donation.
Thank you so much for the $5, Bucky. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you so much. Big donos. Also, can I just say this, okay? Do you guys remember when people said, well, if 10 people sit at a table and one of them is a Nazi, then all of them are Nazis? Or 9 of them is a Nazi and the one person, like, have we forgotten that one? Like, really, you're gonna tolerate the intolerant. Brandon Sanderson has a great quote. Sometimes a hypocrite is just a person who is in the process of changing. Another Way of Kings fan, okay? See, I'm a very cultured person. I have read the entire Stormlight archives, and I love Brandon Sanderson's books. Thank you so much for that, yes. I am cultured, okay? I'm a Zoomer with boomer taste, all right?
I've been guilty of it too. Where you're so obsessively trying to seem like even-handed that you get rooted out in this world where you're like, I'm trying to be fair and I don't want to have like Hassan derangement syndrome, so I'm just going to say, they're not that bad. I don't know that much about any of this. I'm not sure, whatever. But what it happens, what it causes is this reality where, the conversation for this podcast.
The Mistborn is his only good work? Oh, come on, dude. What? What are you saying? Bro, Way of Kings was peak. The first book was absolutely fucking peak. And I think, and this is a controversial opinion, but I actually think the 4th book, the Rhythm of War, is also peak, okay? The reason for this is because, oh god. What's her name? Raboniel? Oh fuck, one of the most peak written characters ever! One of the most peak written, okay? I love it.
Podcast, what was talked about earlier was, should we appeal to leftists when it comes to gaining political power? When do leftists talk about appealing to liberals to try to gain political power? Or when do leftists say, hey, maybe we should chill on shitting on the party, forever and ever when it comes to getting political power? Like, why is the conversation only ever on the Democratic side of things? That's just very wild to me.
True.
Okay. The floor is open. Go ahead.
Should some socialists... Anyway, I have a question. I have a question. Yeah, so this is both to Connor and to Stephen. Should some socialists, at least some, be catered to, be appealed to, and be part of the coalition?
No.
So you would agree, therefore, that Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Mamdani should not be catered to and part of the coalition, correct?
Depends on what you mean when you say catered to.
Should they,
for
for
instance,
example,
so for
should we
instance,
support
well,
the head of the ticket being a socialist like AOC, Mamdani, if they are the nominees?
Mamdani?
Should we support them?
yes, but that doesn't mean you're catering to socialism.
So, okay, but you understand.
Wait, hold on,
so
wait. You recognize
Oh
that
my God.
supporting somebody at the top of a ticket. Well, if you want to play the yes or no question, I can play the same game. You understand that
Bro, nah, dude. Nonian Star. Dude, is a fucking Brandon Sanderson hater. Why?
supporting somebody being at the top of the
Why?
ticket doesn't mean that you are centrally supporting their ideology. For instance, it's possible to cater to, in a roundabout way, people that are further to the left of you without catering to far leftist beliefs, right?
Correct, but you would
Okay.
agree, like, if a socialist is at the top of a ticket, socialist like Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Party should support the socialist at the top of the ticket, correct?
It depends what you mean by support, but generally, yeah, I think you should support who's
Okay,
assuming
so
they're
you're
like,
okay
but
with
I'm-
socialists being part of the coalition, correct?
I don't really know if I consider Bernie Sanders or AOC to be like.
What, dude? What the fuck? Bro, how is he already mad? How is he already mad? He's so mad already. Why? Bro, dude. What? Dude, he's like... Guys, do you know what's the secret to debating well? The secret to debating well is the mental game, okay? Your tone reflects that. If you go right from the bat to a really aggressive tone, you throw off your own fucking mental game. That's what's going on, right? Like, the thing is that, like, at least try to sound like you're not, like, mauling right now. But you can tell he's been steaming angry. Probably didn't get any sleep last night, honestly. Like, you can tell this guy, bro, like, again, debate is all about the mental game as well, right? In addition to practice and practice and practice and more practice, right? Anyway. Yikes.
Like socialists,
Not good.
And why is that exactly?
because I don't think that they like fit under conventional definitions of socialism. It's more kind
They
of like
want the decommodification of basic human needs and workers
Yeah,
owning the means of production.
Yeah, so that's
He's
your
already so
definition.
mad,
That's
true.
your proprietary definition
Oh.
of socialism.
That's
But you agreed.
just
Wait,
a
wait,
start.
hang on.
Definition.
So, for
Econo
example,
Boy, do you disagree with my definition?
Yeah. Okay. So just to hop in here. So yeah, I disagree
You don't.
that
Shut up, Econo Boy. Nobody asked for your opinion. Go to hell.
is. Okay. Do you want me to answer the question, Connor?
Give Econoboy space
Okay.
to answer. Go ahead, Econoboy.
So
I want you to do a line of
Okay.
Adderall.
let Econoboy answer. Go ahead.
I probably should have done an edible instead of Adderall before entering this debate. But to answer your question, similar to capitalism,
his
socialism
car
is a
off,
diverse universe of people. There's a lot of people who call themselves socialists. Some of them are Marxist-Leninists. Some of them are like what you might call like moderate, like right-wing socialists, I guess like me, who say that we should just collectivize the ownership of production. People have different ways of defining these things. For instance, capitalism includes people.
By the way, I just want to say this is why being someone who like hosts panels as something that you want to pursue is always not. It's not. It is a miserable life as a content creator if your like entire thing is hosting panels. I think that people need to host panels. I think that's a necessary thing, just mainly because like, oh, we need someone who is able to host these kinds of big conflicts or whatever, right? But like, just think about it. Oh God, your entire existence is defined off of like being a parasite to other people, right? Which is fine. That's okay. Me too. I'm a parasite off of fucking J-Stelk, right? I'm not like willing to deny that. But like the thing is like, dude, it's just so fucking sad, you know? It's so sad being Wick.
All the way from Fabian Liberty to people like Destiny, who basically endorses the Nordic model, right? And they're both capitalists, right? And so I think that of the 10% of people who call themselves socialists and are part of the Democratic
By the way, I just want to say, okay, like, okay, fuck me, dude. I think the Nordic model, when people say, oh, the Nordic model is good or whatever the fuck, I don't think people realize all the pros that came out of being, like, the United States industrial complex, you know, they don't consider that part when they consider the Nordic model, right? Why the fuck would you want to start up a company in like a Nordic country? Why the fuck would you want to start up like, I don't know, anything in a Nordic country, right? The thing is that if you're going to be starting up businesses, wouldn't you want to just move instead to the United States? Right? This is why everything gets invented here instead, right? Because yeah, we don't have as much like, oh, eco welfare net and stuff like that to the Nordic model or whatever the fuck, right? But we do have the innovation, we do have the inventions, we have scientific breakthroughs every 2 weeks, although not anymore because Trump took away the funding. But like the thing is that you're taking all of these things for granted. When in a way, yeah, in a way, what enabled that was a lack of the Nordic model, maybe economic some economic inequality is needed. Actually, maybe suffering of the proletariat is actually needed to some degree, right? To do that. Anyway. Explain IKEA food, checkmate. Explain Spotify. The reality of the situation is that for every one example you bring up, I can bring up 5 more. That's the reality of the situation, right? Because I'm not saying that no innovation happens in Nordic models or anything like that, right? But like the thing is, and the reality of the situation is that just simply more by ratio, right? By multiplication, right? By ratio, by multiplication. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Anyway.
Party base. Obviously, that's a very diverse group of people, ranging from the exact, essentially, people that I just mentioned as well. And I think that's a very sensible way to look at who calls themselves socialist and why. To Destiny's point of when
Donnie's not a socialist or that Bernie's not a socialist. That's crazy.
Just one more sentence. To Destiny's point about when do like the left wingers ever cater to the moderates? Well, I mean, I seem to remember people like Bernie Sanders and AOC taking very
just by the way, not saying that I would not saying that I would not take any ideas from the Nordic model, but I'm just saying clearly there are some cons to it as well, and maybe we shouldn't fucking ignore it. Maybe we shouldn't ignore the fact that maybe like once you make a worker co-op and it grows like large enough to the point where it becomes a hierarchy, like a hierarchy pyramid, like, and your goal is to be like that, a worker co-op is not necessarily like maintainable. Maybe like the thing is that like this topic is so much more complicated than you think it is, and honestly, like I would probably only trust like an economist who is like not like that biased on this, like, because fucking hell, every single time I talk to somebody online about it, it's like the most brain dead surface level takes. But yeah, well.
Collaborative positions with people like Biden when he was in office, and I seem to recall like Mamdani, he took a very collaborative position with people like Brad Lander, and Mamdani's campaign, to the extent that it appealed to people broader than just the left wing, he made that conscious decision.
Tilly just impotently rages at Destiny on KF and Queeman's Discord. Oof. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have a number of people coming in here who are like, KF people, whatever, anti-fans. Yeah, true.
And to do that, he didn't run on a campaign of seizing the means of production. He ran on a campaign of like freezing the rent and providing childcare to people, right? I mean, I take that to be in some sense a means to cater to a broader base of people than just left-wingers, essentially.
So I think that if we want to talk about catering to socialists, I think that the issue that we have is
I'm from Norway. The socialists online do not understand Norway. We are capitalists with a welfare system so fucking weird. Our welfare fund is invested in the stock market, aka capitalism. Yeah, sure. I mean, no. Like every single country, stop. Almost every country in the world is capitalist to some degree. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not North Korea. Okay. Maybe not Cuba. All right, but you get what I mean, right? Like, yeah.
Is this a world where you only have, or you have a bunch of like Bernie Sanders, AOC, maybe Mamdani types of people that are part of your movement and part of your coalition? And I think that if we lived in a world where there was a rich media environment with a lot of people who were socialists, who, you know, some supported the liberals, some kind of didn't, and some were like really against it, then we could have that conversation. But right now, it seems basically ubiquitous across the entirety of the left-wing media landscape to aggressively and violently shit on and attack Democratic candidates as harshly as...
Look, listen, the Nordic countries can call me up, all right? They can begin critiquing once they have a space program up and running, okay? I'm just saying.
As possible. I just saw, and I'm sure you guys saw, that Vanguard tweet saying that Pete Buttigieg looked like and smelled like a rat. Pete is one of the most like...
Or, you know, having a standing army of any kind. Or like a functioning military while Russia is encroaching across the border. I don't know. You know? Maybe have somewhat of a defense force as Russia is like moving in. Good luck.
Popular Democratic figures making the rounds on shows. I just watched Crystal Ball fucking roast the fuck out of a senator from Michigan because she wouldn't give like the singular one answer on the Gazan issue. If this is the world we're going to live in, where you want to say, oh, well, socialism encompasses a broad range of people. But when I look to the media environment, almost every single person that would even flirt with the label socialist relentlessly shits on the Democratic Party. I don't know if I can really say, yeah, sure, we should also appeal to these people. It's just not the right media environment for it.
There's a definitional issue here, which is you're saying that Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mamdani are not socialists. Explain that.
That's not really responsive to anything I just said. So
No, because you were not responsive to the issue at hand, which has to do with the definition. Yeah. So the question is, if
Damn! I would smash and plap this lolly into the afterlife, dude. You have no idea how much I would coom! Sorry, my bad, guys. I was activated. Anyway, continue.
if you're defining socialism to only include the people that Steven doesn't like, then maybe there's not actually a disagreement here in terms of who should be leading the party or something.
So I wasn't defining socialism as people I don't like. I was defining socialism. So we can talk about definition of socialism. What I'm looking at right now is the socialist media environment. My earlier argument was that I don't know if I would even consider like Bernie Sanders and AOC to be hardcore socialists. If I wanted to supply that argument,
I didn't say hardcore.
They're not. They're not. They ran with the retarded label to capture people's attention, but in the end, I don't think like you can consider them like socialists. No. Like in every dude, they're already so far left. But people will just like oh fuck me, dude, and they think that they're not left enough is insane. Like that's unhinged to me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Are there any cute boys in ZZ? Yes. Yeah.
If I
socialist at all?
Sure, socialist at all. Well, right now, who are the socialists all shitting on almost more than anybody else? AOC and Bernie Sanders. So, I mean, it seems like
whether they're shitting on them or not, Stephen, whether they're shitting them or not isn't the question. That's a separate question. Are they shitting or not shitting? The question is, should socialists be part of the coalition? You just said that Bernie isn't a socialist. He identifies as such.
So
AOC's not a socialist. She identifies as such. Mamdani isn't a socialist. She identifies as such. What's your evidence they're not socialists?
So identifying as a political thing doesn't make you that political.
Did he take his meds before this debate, or like is he okay?
Thing. That's a tautology, and that would be nonsense, number one. And number two, the question wasn't should they be part of the coalition. The question is should we appeal to them. Those are two fundamentally completely different questions.
But Destiny, to be clear though, you're narrowing your position.
Panicking.
It was just last night when you said explicitly anyone that uses the socialist label should be treated like a Nazi, right?
In the media environment, in the media environment is what we're talking about. I'm commenting on your show.
You clarified then, Destiny. Okay, well that's what you said last night.
God.
You're clarifying just people within the media environment.
Sure.
I'm just saying that that's a useful narrowing of the discussion.
You can call it a narrowing if you want, but anybody that's watched any, like, I don't shit on AOC, I don't shit on Bernie Sanders even, and I've been supportive of Mamdani for the election.
I think useful is one way to put about it. I think useful is one way to put it. I think Weasley is another way to put it, and I think it is Weasley. I think you're backing off of the strong position. The strong position is socialists shouldn't be a part of socialists shouldn't be a part of our fucking coalition. And now when you're getting pushed, I guess now it's the media environment. Now it's
I didn't say socialists shouldn't be part of the coalition. I said we shouldn't be trying to actively appeal to socialists. Do you understand that those are two separate things?
They're different statements. They're correct. They're different statements.
No. They mean fundamentally two completely different things.
They're two different statements that mean different things. They're two different statements that mean two different things. But your position, is it your position, therefore, that the Democrats should, as part of their coalition in terms of who to vote for, what kind of policy support, to humor people like Mamdani, humor people like
Oh God, it's over. He's so angry. He's tripping over his own fucking words. Oh Lord.
AOC and humor people like Bernie Sanders. And if that's the truth, then I think
I don't know what that statement
like
means. Should they humor them? Like, what does that mean? Like, put them on the ballot? Well, I don't know what that question means. Like,
should they have a seat at the table? Whatever you take that.
What is a seat at the table?
Whatever,
like, if they go to the Outback Steakhouse?
That's what I'm asking you. So, for example, you're the one who says that we need to excise these people from the party. I actually don't know what you mean by that. So, whatever your vision of having a seat at the table, not being excised is, whatever you're using when you say these people need to be gone, under that definition, do you think?
Okay. Sure. Let's let Destiny. Those are good questions, Pisco, and I'd like to know the answers too. Right? What do you mean, Destiny, when you say we need to excise these people?